Those are powerful words from a teenage girl. I fear he could kill me.
She was scared to death.
My daughter, she's bleeding to death.
A daughter and dancer murdered one day after school.
It was just so brutal, and she was all by herself. I think that was the worst part.
Who in the world could do this, and are they going to do it again?
This was personal.
Clue after clue.
There were footprints in Megan's blood.
Suspect after suspect.
Did you kill Megan? No, I was in shock.
They were looking at everyone that she had contact with.
Twist after twist.
Instant panic. Instant panic.
I still get chills.
People have secrets.
People have a lot of secrets.
A dancer murdered in a choreographed crime. Who was the killer? I'm Lester Holt, and this is Dateline. Here's Andrea Canning with The Call.
The family that lived in this cozy house on this quiet street never came back after the awful thing that happened here.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying to think of.
It was April 10th, 2008, Portsmouth, Virginia. Police Sergeant Robert McDaniel was right nearby when the All Points Bulletin went out to law enforcement.
The call comes out, and it's literally 1 block away from where I'm standing.
Did the address ring a bell?
It did and it didn't.
All he knew was that someone had been killed inside that house.
So you go there, and what do you discover?
I went in to clear the house out of anybody inside the house to make sure the scene stayed as pristine as possible for them. And when I looked down, I realized then that it was Megan.
Megan Landowski, the teenage victim, was someone he knew. He knew her whole family. It was her stepfather, Chris, who found Megan's body as he came in from work.
She was just white, just laying there as peaceful as she could be. Then I looked again, then I noticed I saw blood. My daughter, looks like she's been sexually assaulted and she's bleeding to death.
Wait a minute. Slow down. What's wrong with her?
My daughter's bleeding, blood all over the thing. Looks like her throat was slit.
She was a tiny 16-year-old girl who cared about people and loved to dance. He couldn't comprehend what had just happened to her.
Could you tell how she had been killed?
I recognized what I saw, but I wasn't processing what I saw. Does that make sense?
When I found Chris, he was going into a state of shock, and he had this distant look in his eyes.
I still had the phone in my hand, and he was the one trying to bring me out of the trance that I was in. He pointed at his eyes and said, "You know me, look at me."
Chris pulled himself together and called his wife Angie at her office. Her coworkers drove her home.
So we get there, and they've got the house taped off, and I'm running towards the house. And I had a guy grab me and says, "You can't go up there." I said, "Oh, I'm going up there. That's my child. That's my house." And I'm like, I want to make sure it's her. I want to see her. I want to make sure that it's her. And Chris grabbed me and said, "It's her."
So you were trying to protect her to not have to see what you saw.
Right.
With good reason. Megan had been stabbed over and over. There was blood everywhere. She never stood a chance. It was a terrible sight, even for veteran law enforcement.
You can't get it out of your head. And it's something, you know, you want to go home and hug.
It's okay, I know how hard it is, given what you saw.
Okay. You just want to go home and hug your children.
Investigators put aside their personal feelings and started to decipher the story told by the evidence. They learned fairly quickly that after school, Megan dropped in on a neighbor.
So they have a conversation.
For a few minutes.
A short one.
A short conversation.
Did she say if anyone's coming, if she's expecting a visitor or anything?
She's talking about school, normal stuff, how she's feeling, that kind of stuff. And then she just tells her that I'm going to go back and make macaroni and cheese for my brother when he gets home.
Suzanne Sequeira and her husband Carl are crime scene investigators. They arrived at the house and quickly started to identify clues, like a small leaf found on a bedroom floor. That told them how the killer might have gotten inside.
Finding this leaf was kind of a surprise. When we went outside, there was this big bush right under the parents' window that actually had this type of leaf to it.
The bedroom window was unlocked, the screen pushed up. They surmised the killer climbed over the bush and through the window and forced Megan upstairs, where she was bound with tape and sexually assaulted.
Her underwear and her skirt were on the floor. There was also, she had a watch.